Hey, what's going on, guys? G1 Hexatron here, and we are bringing you episode 106 of the Cybercast show. I am here with my co-host, Jaim, also known as Victory Saber 77, and we've got quite a bit of news for you guys, some Transformer news, and Daniel, Protoman, he's not here yet. As far as I know, he said that he was coming on, so I was just kind of emailing him back and forth while I was at the show today. So I've been up for about 24, 25 hours straight. So if I don't sound as energetic as normal, what I usually do, then I apologize. Hopefully I don't bore you guys. But anyways, James, I see it now. I'm rambling because my brain is not working correctly. But anyways, James, tell me what we got, man.
Well, I am Jaim, Victory Saber 77. You can find me on Twitter and YouTube, and we have some other shows, or we have another show. We have the Aftercast, which is on my channel, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time every Saturday. It's a couple hours after the Cybercast. We are still looking for a female co-host, so if you're interested or know of someone, just email Josh at g1xtron@gmail.com. And we're also doing the collection spotlight still. So if you want your collection spotlighted, just send your pictures to Josh at g1xtron@gmail.com. Keep the pictures between 10 to 20, and we will spotlight you on the Cybercast. And no collection's too small, too big. And this week we are spotlighting DinoCon, and future guest episode 107 next week. We're hopefully going to have Pete Sinclair on, and he's going to talk more about Botcon and maybe answer a couple of questions about what's going on with that. And so that should be really cool. And if you have questions or a topic, please put questions in capital letters before you ask it in the chat so we can just find it a little bit easier. Just helps us out, and we'll answer that probably more towards the end of the show. So
yeah, and they can police each other too. You see someone ask a question, they didn't put question, just remind them, if you would, kindly. We don't need to call anyone an idiot or anything like that. So anyways, quite a bit of kind of TV movie news that I wanted to kind of get into. All the stuff that we're going to be taking a look at today is found on my Facebook page, which is the G1 Hexatron. So if you want to go check that out, you can find me on my other things: YouTube, G1 Hexatron, Twitter, and Instagram is also G1 Hexatron. First thing for TV, Fox picks up DC's Lucifer and also picks up Minority Report. Then you have the CW has greenlit DC's Legends of Tomorrow, which is basically the Arrow Flash spinoff TV show that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. And CBS has greenlit Supergirl. Now, you got three different networks here with DC, and you know how the CW right now has Arrow and they have the Flash. With the Supergirl, do you think, or not necessarily Lucifer, but with the Supergirl, do you think that they're going to try to integrate that somehow? Or maybe because they're different networks, and we know that, they don't always get along, but they're all part of that DC universe. What do you think about that?
They might. I mean, you never know. I would assume that they would try to, because they would just boost, I think, both shows.
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing that in Marvel with Spider-Man finally coming over to what Marvel Studios, for Avengers, I thought. So it should be
they
pretty
wanted
good
to do that too. Yeah, they wanted to bring Spider-Man into Avengers too, but just didn't work out.
But yeah, I think they will do it.
Because there's also I don't know what network it is, but Gotham. But this is kind of like when they're all young, like Bruce Wayne is like a little kid. He doesn't even know anything about Batman yet, or Batman. So they're not really integrating that, but that's understandable.
Yeah, that's kind of its own thing in a way. So yeah.
As far as movies go, there's going to be a new Indiana Jones movie, and this was confirmed by Lucasfilms, and it's going to be a relaunch. So it's not going to be Indiana Jones, episode 5 or part 5 or whatever. So basically, the 4 that have been made with Harrison Ford, they're done with that, and this is going to be a relaunch. Someone that has just been kind of rumored to play Indiana is Chris Pratt. So, I think that's a good selection right there, if it is true.
Yeah, that's not too bad. I mean, we'll see how he is in Jurassic World
And Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the hot one right now as far as getting a lot of these kind of comic book / sci-fi or adventure type stories. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, part of me though doesn't want a relaunch of the series just because, I mean, just like you, we grew up with the original and it's kind of weird, but I do like the relaunch of, like, let's say Star Trek in a way, how they did that. That was pretty nice, even though it kind of flows with the original and in its own indirect way, but we'll see. I mean, they're doing the same thing with Die Hard, aren't they? They're relaunching that.
Yeah, they're gonna relaunch that as well, to where now Bruce Willis is going to be. It's not going to be Hans Gruber, but it's the like a general that thinks that his troops were mistreated or something like that, and he's taken over Nakatomi. I think it's Nakatomi Towers or something like that. Yeah. But he's going to be the bad guy now, which is kind of cool because he was John McClane. So.
That's gonna be weird. I hope he says yippee-ki-yay.
They're gonna throw something in there. Every time I watch that Terminator trailer comes up, it seems like they're always trying to find ways to insert, like Terminator. He's always saying "I'll be back," and with Die Hard, he's gonna say yippee-ki-yay. So they're little sayings that are identified with that movie or that series.
I was just hoping Bruce Willis would say it as if he's the villain to the new John McClane.
But, I was talking to my dad because I was with him earlier today, and it was just like, can no one think of original ideas anymore? Like, you get a few sci-fi ones here and there, but it's just like reboot this. I was like, it's just, they love stuff from the 70s and 80s, early 90s. Mm-hmm. The other movie that's worth talking about is Suicide Squad. List their actors, and a release date of August 5th, 2016 is going to be the date that they're trying to shoot for that release. But all that information, like I said, it's on the Facebook page. You can see the picture of them. You can see your Harley Quinn. I think it's Will Smith as Deadshot. You got the guy that I can never remember his name. I just watched the movie with him, Run All Night, this morning. But the guy that played RoboCop and was in The Killing, he's going to be in there. I forget who he plays. So a lot of like recognizable characters. The girl that's playing Harley Quinn, I forget her name, but she was in Focus with Will Smith, so she was the blonde. But I'm interested in seeing that, especially since you see how they're going to do, like the new Joker with Jared Leto, and it's going to be dark. Like Marvel's kind of that, you can go take the family and stuff like that, go see the Marvel movie, and there's not too many probably bad words that a little kid should be hearing in a Marvel movie. But DC, man, it's going to be dark. Yeah, that's the way they do their stuff.
And that's what the Suicide Squad's kind of about. I mean, they're ex-criminals.
Yeah. Then as far as gaming, Batman Arkham Knight, the season pass is going to allow you to play as Batgirl. And we were kind of talking about this a little bit prior to the show starting, is Batman like trained Batgirl and Robin. So on that part, Robin and Batgirl should be weaker than Batman. He's kind of like the sensei, he's the master. So, in my opinion, he's the trainee or the trainer. The trainee should be a little bit weaker. And Batgirl, she's kind of still, kind of new into it. So I hope that they play different. Basically what I want two different like fighting styles. And I don't want just Batman. I play through him. Now I want to play as Batgirl. And all it is, Batman with a new skin. You know what I'm saying? So
new techniques, new, I guess, dynamics as far as like, And you've seen it in other games, like if you have someone like throw someone, it's if they're really strong, they can just toss them like with one hand. But like if you have someone who's not, so you have to use two hands or something to implement that, so they have their own limitations and all that.
Yeah, like you kind of see in like when they like if they did some type of thing where like what she would like spin around and like flip her legs over their neck and like twist and like like handstanding and then flip them over, like just something to make it like, okay, I definitely want to play through this thing all the way through again, even though I just finished playing as Batman, because it's almost like a new game because you get to experience new stuff. So that's the point I want to make. I don't want anyone to think that it's like, that she should just be weaker because she's a girl. I want a different fighting style. As far as toys go, Star Wars, The Force Awakens, products, toys, etc., will hit shelves September 4th, 2015 at 12:01 a.m. So and that's pretty much it for the new stuff. You got anything, Jaim?
No, I mean, I'm looking forward to the Star Wars. It's always fun when the toys come out, just because you get to see all this new product and you have the hype. You have people waiting in line. It's like getting a new game system. They're all just waiting in anticipation. It's just for toys. It's just people want to see everything and be the first one. And you got your scalpers in there, which
that's what I was gonna. Yeah, that's what I was gonna talk about. You know what? If you want to write that down, maybe we can talk about some scalpers and stuff like that, because we know it exists and they're all over the place. So, anyways, let's go ahead and get into the collection spotlight here.
Okay.
And maybe Daniel will join us shortly. But let's see, Dino Cons. Okay, so. Yeah, quite a bit here. You can see that there's some Prime stuff. He's got some Generation stuff.
Awesome, yeah.
He's got a lot of Chug stuff, man.
He's got Gears. That's a hard one to find.
Dude, I've never got Gears.
I've only seen him once, and I was able to pick him up. So yeah, I lucked out on that one.
I'm gonna have to probably pay some stupid money for him, right? Because he's one. Because I like the Swerve, and I want Gears. I actually sold the Bumblebee Cliff Jumper and the Nemesis Prime, and one of the other ones. The ones that Tailgate, because I think they stink. But he's got his Combiner War stuff. Quite a few combiners back there.
Yeah. GDO Wheelie, cool.
This is TFC, correct? Yeah, these are TFC, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Wing Saber behind. Mega Prime.
Oh, and he's got the one that I think is probably the best one is the Warpath. Oh, yeah, I like the Hoist and Trollbreaker. Why did I never buy those? I like those too. And this one's, this one's a little bit blurry. You see he's got some G1s here. All right, there you go, man. You see some Toy World. Scoop. I remember I was so excited for Scoop. I like him.
He's got Cybertron, Optimus Prime, and Metroplex. That's cool.
Oh, that's that big Metroplex right there.
Yeah. Good old Generation Skybite.
And third parties.
Nice.
A nice masterpiece collection, man. This is the SXS. Oh, I say it wrong. Very nice, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I would say thanks for sending them. I think it was actually wife sent them in, but thanks to the both of you guys. Appreciate it. All right, like I said, I was at an event earlier today. So I took a few pictures. I couldn't take a bunch of pictures inside the store just because, or video, because it was just so crowded. It was like 500 people shoved into like a smaller toy store. So yeah, I spent an hour there, but took a few pictures of cosplay. Obviously, Batman and Catwoman. I'm a fan.
Ghost Rider, nice.
The Ultron.
Yeah.
And his stuff, yeah, he had light up stuff too. There was more there, and like some Ninja Turtles showed up afterwards. Like I said, I just left early, man. It was so packed, and there was a lot of little kids, and it's a vintage, resale shop where stuff is mint in box, mint on card, and they were just kind of running all over the place, bumping into you. Star Wars stuff. And this was cool because I told my dad, and my dad, he ended up coming with me. And I think this is what kind of hooked him because I don't think he's seen one that's all kind of done up like the one in Back to the Future. This thing looked like it came straight out of the show. It was so accurate. And all the electrical parts worked and everything. This is my dad. He was outside and I was inside like checking out. And whenever it pulled up, he's like, Josh, the DeLorean just pulled up. Let's go look at it. It was me, blurry picture. But yeah, man, this little thing is working.
Hop in that sucker and blast back to 1983.
This is the plutonium like reader or something right there.
It's really cool.
And it was street legal too because the license plate on it. It was a classic car. I think you get that on there, and you can drive some. These older cars like that wouldn't make regulation or whatever today, or safety standards. So, anyways. All right, getting into Transformer stuff. Do have a few images of Defensor here. The main thing I wanted to kind of show off is the Rook with groove attached. So you can kind of see how they did that in case you're wanting to, put him on the leg. It's not too bad.
No.
I'm not gonna buy groove to put him on the chest though, because I'd rather have the chest like this. And take a look at Breakneck and what are the other ones called?
Oh gosh, I forgot what his name was. Slinger, something.
Quick Slinger.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Now these are online exclusives again, or
no, I don't think.
Or are they mass retail?
I think they're going to be mass retail.
Oh, okay, because I thought they were trying to do something.
Someone correct me in the comments if I'm not correct there. I probably didn't need to tell them they would anyway.
You know them so well.
Yeah, I like this. I think it looks good. Both of them. In-hand images of Devastator. There's just two pictures here. Looks okay. This is what I want to look at. And Jaim, now that I'm kind of seeing it and I'm looking at it, I'm still gonna get it because I think that their individual modes look pretty good, and I want to support this. I know I sound like Count Marzo right now, where I don't even like this character, but I want to support the line because I want to see it, continue or whatever. So that's basically what I'm doing, but I do not like this. And I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying that it's not for me. And, there's people that feel that way about other Hasbro or stuff or third party or Masterpiece. This one's not for me. I'm still going to buy it because I think that it's going to be affordable for what all you get and how big it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you think I'm totally wrong in thinking that? I just
No. I mean, you could change your mind. I mean, once you get it in hand, it could be something amazing that you're like, oh my goodness.
yeah.
But
I mean, I could, but and I always try not to compare with third party because I think it's kind of foolish to do that. Compare these things that are cheaper to third party things, which are so much more expensive, and they have a bigger budget to make them like that. I love my Make Toys Green Giant though, and while not comparing it to this, I've looked at that for so long, and even my G1, and I think it looks awesome. That this just kind of doesn't really do anything for me.
yeah, I mean, it also depends on what type of collector you are. I mean, if you're a chug collector, I know I'm picking it up, not just to support the line, but yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty cool.
Maybe if I see it posed different or something.
Yeah. But I'm not
they at least got
for it either. I mean, I'm not like 100% in love with it. Like, oh my goodness, I cannot wait. I have it pre-ordered, 3 different places. No, I'm just...
That's what I'm getting. I don't love it, and I've always kind of had my rule to myself is like, well, if I don't love it, then I shouldn't buy it, because if I just kind of like it, then I know eventually I'm probably going to sell it and probably lose money on it.
Yeah.
This guy at least has it transformed. I don't know if it's completely correct, but at least more correct than the Hasbro employees did. Someone even pointed that out in the comments. So,
I mean, for what it's worth, it's nice. It looks good. I know we all would rather have seen like a Titan class, Triptychon to go up against Metroplex, but
yeah,
with all the characters in the Combiner Wars, as far as just combiners in general, I think they picked a good one. I mean, who else would they have picked? Maybe, I don't know. Would you Predaking? Possibly.
I would think Predaking would need to be should have been the bigger one. But
yeah, should have been. And if the next Titan after that would have been Skylinks, I'd be okay with that. But I don't know. This being the first one in the G1 line, it's cool.
We'll see how it goes. It's all going to be about support. If there's a huge amount of support behind the Devastator and a lot of people buy it, then we'll get more of it. Mm-hmm. It just kind of sucks that it works like that. Because if you put out something that it doesn't really please the majority, it's just kind of people are like on the fence, like half like it, half don't. Then you can't really base it, whether you should come out with something else based on the sales of that. Just like Brainstorm is what I'm getting at. Like, you can't base, should we make more Headmaster Voyager size based on your sales for the Brainstorm, because he didn't even show up at everywhere. And then when he did, the thing had problems, and then you had to re-release it again. And now you're not even, coming out with those, because now you're doing Combiner Wars. So
yeah,
that's the point I'm always making. So again, this is, the brain's been going on for too long here. So anyways, we can see what the box set or the box looks like now for Botcon. You like this?
Hey, yeah, I like the design of it. Looks pretty cool.
I was just thinking, if artwork, people thought that would have been better, or because it's most wanted, you can kind of see, like these wanted posters in here. So
yeah, I mean, the cup of Energon there's pretty cool. The keys.
Oh, that's what I thought. I thought it was Pepto Bismol. So.
For some reason, though, I thought like Oil Master was the one that was going after these guys, because he's the bounty hunter. But it looks like he's wanted also. So, but that's cool. I mean, I don't know anything about the fiction yet, so kind of really curious about it.
Look at this cute little fella. I like this.
Ultra Magnus with red eyes.
Top beam. So you got your Ultra Magnus here, your little SD dude. Oh man, he's adorable. I like him. It's very SD Gundam.
Oh yeah.
And then you can put all the little bitty parts on them too.
Oh, you can. That's not a separate figure. Oh, cool.
So I think this is really cool. I like this a lot.
Wow.
It's pretty posable too. Looks like you'll get a couple of different hands.
Oh, he transforms.
I mean, yeah, it's not the prettiest here, but I mean, look, it's super deformed, and you have these little add-on pieces to it, and it transforms. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Oh yeah.
When you look at the kid's logic, which is impressive on its own as well, but it doesn't have these pieces that you put on it, to make them armored up, Magnus or Ultra Magnus here, and they don't transform. So I do like this.
And this is an official product too.
Yeah, but topping, and this is it says this is a non-scale plastic model kit.
Oh, I don't
so it is going to be like a Gundam.
So all that nice looking paint and everything is you have to do yourself.
Oh.
Oh, you just lost a customer.
Well, hopefully we find out more. I'll be keeping my eye on that one. All right, getting into the masterpiece stuff. We can see colored pictures, Road Rage.
Nice.
What you thinking, man?
Oh, she's bought. Regardless, this is a fantastic way of just reusing the Trax mold, and I'm glad they're doing it. They're also tweaking it to give her, or making the mold more having a female kind of
with
look.
the waist,
the new head and all that. But it's the first female in the masterpiece line too, which is really cool. It's not your typical we need to have RC first, or an actual mainstream character to be put in there. No, it's pretty sweet.
This is pretty awesome.
And I do like her extra little accessory piece, which it's not bad.
Yeah, well, let's go ahead and take a look at that. And you're gonna get twin cast, and what is this thing?
That the stand.
I thought it was a stand too, but on Trax, isn't this the bottom? Isn't it clear?
Maybe they just reversed it. I don't know.
So that's the only thing that's throwing me off. Is I would assume that this is the stand, but on Trax, this black piece right here was clear. So maybe they just colored it black. Who knows? But that's why I couldn't figure out what it was. But I was like, okay, you get that. So, are you going to come down $5 because I don't see no Raul?
Yeah, it looks like it. Right there it says $74.99.
Oh, there we go. That's what I'm talking about.
So
instead of $79.
Yeah.
No, no.
But we're not looking at little.
No.
Ant-Man, Ultron.
Now, getting into the third-party stuff, and this is kind of first we'll look at some of the stuff that's kind of maybe could go on your masterpiece shelf, or Bad Cube. And these are all test shots. I'm going to be looking at Claymore, Hypno, and Kick Butt.
You say Kick Butt?
Kick Butt, yeah. Now remember, what is it? FansToys is doing Insecticons as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you have two that are competing. These are going to come out. These are probably going to come out before FansToys does, because they're kind of slow about their stuff. But
yeah.
These seem like they're a little bit more boxy, to where the FansToys are a little bit more smooth. If you remember them, do you have a preference, or do you like these?
They look pretty good. I'm kind of curious to see some final product. You know me, I like the old school G1. So for shrapnel there, I like his pincers to be chromed.
Yeah.
But he does look good. It'd be kind of cool to see him up against an actual masterpiece figure. See how they scale. And these are going to be sold individually, right? Yeah, okay. Kind of cool if they're in a set.
I thought they were in a set, and the
they're in a set?
FansToys was individually.
Okay. Might come down to cost too. I mean, if this one's cheaper,
they are going to be cheaper than FansToys.
May go this route. They look good though. Here we go.
Some of their other stuff here.
Yeah. Appropriate size for Insecticons.
We look at so much third-party stuff. It's really hard to keep up with the prices and everything.
Now, if they get attached to DACA Toys Chronos to mimic that one episode, they're attacking Skyfire.
Better not get them too close to that Chronos, man. That thing will fall apart. There's a lot of pictures here. Oh, there we go. That's what we want to see.
Mm-hmm.
So what you think?
Yeah.
That good size?
Good. Yeah.
Like what you're doing, Bad Cube. All right. Just talked about FansToys. Taking a look at their next Dinobot. This is Stomp.
Cool.
They're covering her up this right here. It's all blurred out.
Looks pretty good. My only concern, I'm just saying, hopefully the ratchet in the joints are strong, because we know that they're going to have die cast in this.
Yep.
So don't really want to have like a scoria repeat incident again. But yeah, I do like it.
Like even the little insides here, it's all kind of like robotic and stuff like that. There's some nice molding detail. I mean, just really, really nice all over.
Got some neck articulation in the Dynamo, it looks like.
Yeah, so it looks like this is going to maybe that, or maybe it does rotate. But it looks like this is going to rotate here, and this can go back and forth. This goes back and forth, and then you can move here, and it looks like there's a rotation joint right there too. I like the way that head looks too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the tail has articulation. Nice. Not that it's a big deal, but I don't know. Sometimes it's kind of nice to have some articulation, especially if you get a third party where you can actually implement that into it.
Well, if you're paying $200 for a figure, I would like as much articulation as I can get without, it's making the transformation suffer or anything like that. So,
yeah.
Oh, Littlefoot.
Littlefoot. That's what they said about Columpio. Aw. His creator.
Yeah. All right, and there we go. So, man, he should be taller.
That's a lot of... It seems like all the third-party companies out there who are producing a sludge character, they're not making them that big compared to, like, Snarl. Maybe Snarl's supposed to be just beefy and even slag, but I would thought, the dude can turn into a brontosaurus and brachiosaurus, whatever.
Obviously, Swoop here. I forget their fake name, so I'm just gonna call it Swoop. Soar, okay. He's obviously shorter, which is what you want, but with him, he should be taller, just like Swoop should be shorter.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but
I mean, when you're paying $800 worth of dino here,
that's true.
I mean, you do get a little bit more picky with this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. When it's all said and done, you got $1,000 once Grimlock comes out. Invested on a really heavy shelf.
Right.
Ooh, what? What?
This is what you wanted to see, right?
Who is this guy?
This one?
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
All right, so you see the in-hand image there. Looks like are these gold guns?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for Mastermind Creations to send me a prototype, but it just for some reason won't. Must think I'm Clone Droid or something.
Oh, dude, we do have some Clone Droid up a little bit later.
Okay.
This isn't Clone Droid though.
Wow, look at all those Hexatrons.
And that's not even all of them. They're still missing the what's the hyper one?
Yeah.
And let's see, you got the chrome helmet. This is new. They don't even have the first one in there either. So they're missing two. I mean, they're taking care of that mold.
Yeah, they are.
Do the Shadow Maru too, then. All right, Warbatron Strafe. Wow, what's his fake name? No, it doesn't even say. It's like some numbers and letters. Anyways, with him, I think they could have added a little bit of red here. You know, just because I know that it's pretty accurate to what he looks like, but because he is just a red and white figure. But there's supposed to be like there's some red stickers here. They could have done just a little bit more. I don't know. This is probably not final.
Yeah, it's probably not.
But he does kind of look plain, though, doesn't he? And I like Strafe.
It looks plain, but he looks clean. The white really stands out. Now, his face looks interesting. Looks like he's wearing a red mask. And does he have a mouth plate, or is he got?
No, he's got a mouth and a nose. But
that's what I thought.
It's all white there. The outside, the inside, it's all white. The figure's out of my reach, so I can't tell you exactly what his face is supposed to look like. But hopefully they clean that up a little bit. Add a little bit more, because it looks like one of those things. Like whenever we look at like prototypes where they're just molded in two different colors, and you put them together. It kind of looks like that before they put any type of paint apps or anything on it. So, and maybe that's the case. That's a nice flight mode.
Yeah,
it's accurate.
Like that, you get a stand. I do like when combiner parts can be utilized as like a stand or something like that. Now, do you wish that his guns were orange, like the original?
Instead of that translucent?
Yeah, with just red, translucent. I think orange, I guess. Just to break it up a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it would have been nice. He's got a translucent sword too, huh? I guess that's part of the stand. Yeah, that can be final, because look, there's a lot more details on him. I like the way these guys look better individually than combined. We already looked at all those pictures. Yeah, we have.
Yeah. So you think this is going to give Make Toys a little run for the money? Even though, I mean, they're different size classes, but still.
Yeah, and they're different styles. I think people will still jump on this. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that love the Warbatron Bruticus,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think there's a lot of people that'll kind of get behind them, and to where there was like a while back that a lot of people jumped on TFC Hercules, and then kind of like, well, I'm sticking with TFC because they want them all kind of be in that size, even though like Prometheus is like, Hotspot's huge, but now they'll have that Warbatron size scale, which he's taller than everyone. He's taller than Mastermind Creations, Feral Rex, where they're like, okay, now I want all my combiners to be like this guy, all tall and big. So But take a look at Unique Toys. What the heck is that name?
Siegfried.
Is that it? Okay. That's your job, Jaim, is
Yeah, okay.
how to pronounce all these like strange names.
Well, they're going with all the Norse mythology stuff for this guy. But yeah, let's just call him Hunger.
Yeah. So what you think?
Looks good. I mean, Unique Toys is doing a good job, I think.
Yep. They stepped it up. They must have been listening to Cybercast like 50 episodes when I was just like, God, man, this is bad. I just didn't like their Predikings, man. But this is obviously before they put any paint on it. Yeah, I think it does look good. The other one, the member, looks like good. This one's a little bit closer to production because you can see some little paint apps in here, the face colored up here. Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Represents Cutthroat.
Hagen. I can pronounce that one. I got this one. He's not going to come with a stand, though, I don't believe, is he?
I don't think so, but I see. Got an arm just kind of hanging out. It's interesting. Looks good, though. Bottom line, I think this Abominus really does brings back Unique Toys into the fold.
Oh, yeah. And I liked Unique Toys Sharkies, too. All right, and the Mastermind Creations. What's the Nova Prime? Whatever their Nova Prime is, in the book. You can see a couple of figures here. Titanica or something.
Titanica.
Okay.
Strika, supposed to be. Looks good.
So this big boy. That's what he's going to look like when he transforms. And her, okay.
John. Yeah. I like what Mastermind Creations been doing. Good stuff. Their Nova Prime looks pretty good. Whatever I don't even remember what it's called. Seraph.
It's 2 words too. I can't.
Yeah.
Do the one of them right now. Comatose. Who's this supposed to be? Impactor?
No.
That's a big cannon or gun, whatever that thing is.
Yeah, I can't think of the name. Let's see. Anyone in the comments? Yeah. No.
Anyways, we'll move on. All right. It's your boy Clone Droid. So Clone Droid put it out that no. There's like let's see, how many are there? 7. Okay. They want you to vote on which one they should repaint next. They got some pretty crazy colors in here too.
I didn't think they released anything.
Well, they came out with the first one.
They did? I thought they scrapped it because it took too long. Or was that they scrapped all the die cast?
Scrapped the die cast.
Okay.
They were making a big deal about for months. So,
okay.
Basically, if you don't know Clone Droid, they knocked off Mastermind Creations Hexatron. So not much change there, but
That looks a little better.
And I think the one that's winning is 5, I believe.
The eyes really do it. Just the shadow and just the eyes. That looks pretty cool. Interesting. Not too bad.
So yeah, right now I think 5 is winning. So anyways, we'll move on. All right, and you can see the Perfect Effect add-on. So here's your Defensor normal limbs, and here it is with the black add-ons right here. It makes it look so much better.
Yeah. Yes, feet. This looks like he's wearing shoes. The other one looks like he's barefoot.
Yeah. Like he's got some flip-flops on. Yeah, and you can see, the articulation and the stance there. I'll move that out of the way.
Said Daniel.
Man, this Defensor looks so awesome. Like, I don't like Minosaur. Superion, he's pretty cool. I think after the Perfect Effect upgrade, it's going to make him awesome. But I think Defensor that's one I love.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's awesome looking. And then those little feet and stuff. And the hands come apart and get all these guys some awesome guns. And the same thing with, the Minosaur and the Superion. That way, what's his name? Dead End doesn't have an exhaust for his weapon.
Mm-hmm. Crew reminds me of like Rocket from the Guardians of the Galaxy, just a little small firecracker. Just give him a big gun.
Oh, that'd be funny.
Using Perfect Effects stand.
Mount them all up there.
That is cool.
So yeah, the black ones to me are supposed to go with Defensor, because now they're going to be releasing white versions, and that's what I was waiting on. I guess I'm getting the black ones anyway for Defensor, but I was waiting for the white ones for Superion. And this does not have the middle part. So there's another piece that is going to come with Superion for the add-on Perfect Effect. It's separate, but there's a middle piece and then changing up the head as well. I plan on getting that too. Yep, that makes it look so much better. Just spreading those legs a little bit. Are you getting these add-ons?
I probably will down the road. Yeah, they do a lot. Big time. I mean, it goes back to what Fans Project did for, Superion and Bruticus.
Yeah.
At least with Superion, I mean, we didn't get 2 new figures. We got that add-on kit to give them better articulation. It really did help, and this looks really nice. Pretty sweet.
Right, from X2 Toys, this thing we've been looking at, they do have some painted up pictures here, so you kind of get the idea. You know what we're talking about there. It can also transform with it, so you can see that it's got it in this kind of little cannon mode here. And here it is all painted up, and I guess it's the triple changer now. But this kind of makes me want to go buy this Megatron now, because I like that pose.
Yeah. You should get it before you can't. Think of Metroplex, Generations Metroplex.
God.
Got a chance to get it.
I get the Metroplex when they come out with TFcon. So we've seen a couple of different add-ons for this Megatron, and we'll probably even start to, we'll continue to see more. What do you think about this one? Where's it kind of, I guess, rate? Is this something that you would consider? Because this is something that would actually entice me to go buy the figure.
Yeah, I already have the figure. Would it make it better? Sure. I mean, any add-on kit. But is this something that I really absolutely need? Probably not. That's just me, though. So I don't really need a G1 style chug.
Jaim, that's the best, though.
I already have a G1 Megatron, though. So, and then I got Hegemon for that for chug. So this was just something different.
No. This is going to be Shadow Fisher upgrade kits for MP10. These are all going to be separate. So you can see the smokestacks. There's some little things over here to the side. And I guess the light up features. So you got the Matrix, the head on this one. Then for another one, you get the exhaust here, and then I think there's another one that is the arm things here, which I'm not exactly sure what that's supposed to be anyway. So there you can kind of see them all right there. Oh, I guess a new axe.
Seems like you get a totally new arm, almost.
I think I'm pretty good with my MP10 the way it is. Sure, those exhausts look kind of cool, but I'm going to keep mine just the way it is. Okay, we looked at that. And this is from Ocean. They're going to come out with these little things to wrap around your cassettes.
That's cool.
It's a neat little idea.
Yeah.
I like on the back how it's got the little box art, though.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Well, how many of us just kind of toss those cassettes as far as their containers? I mean,
dude, they're in the box.
Yeah, they just stay in the box. At least here you can display them, and they look pretty sweet.
Yeah. Wonder how much those are. I guess we'll have to find out. And not Transformer related, but Jaim, when you and I both saw this, we went pre-ordering.
Yeah.
Are you getting the Michael Keaton too?
Mm-hmm.
I've got them both pre-ordered because I was like, I'm gonna delete one of them, but I was like, do I want the Michael Keaton one? I do want it. I just don't want to pay $350 for them because I've never owned a Hot Toys figure.
Yeah, see, I just get them. I'm getting them both just because they're going to go up in price anyways. Hot Toys always goes up. So once these are gone, you're going to be like, I don't want to have that regret. Like, oh man, maybe I wish I would have had the Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. And then he's, if you get that, then you also get the Broken Cow as well. Man, that's pretty sweet. I can't wait for that.
Just got to pay some stupid money to get the Batmobile.
Oh God. Yeah, that's right.
But I'm just curious on the QC. I've heard some stories that it's not as good, and I don't want to spend a buttload of money on something that's like, I just am, it's just part of it. I don't want to deal with that.
Get that then. Sorry. Do we have anything as far as questions or topics, guys? I don't know what happened to Daniel. Let's see, did he tweet me or something? Well, I got three things here. No.
Let me see. Starting off the very beginning.
Well, that was kind of like the whole little thing was just going to be kind of him talking to us about Botcon and stuff like that. So
Dalton did pipe in with the Breakneck and Quick Slinger. They are e-tailer exclusives and possibly Toys R Us.
Okay, that's it. They're going to be Toys R Us, yes.
So that's going to be fun. People are asking about Apollyon. Anyone's gotten that in hand?
A few people have. Here's a question from Steve Cass. Do you think we'll see other future Masterpiece G1 Megatrons? This is considering X-Transbots, Apollyon popularity. What do you think, Jaim?
I think we will see an official release. It's just a matter of time. I don't know why Takara is kind of, I don't know, just kind of waiting. But I think there will be. I mean, it doesn't make sense to not have one. Now, as far as it coming to the United States as like a Toys R Us exclusive or any of that type of stuff, no, that's never going to happen. But I think that Takara will release a Megatron.
Yeah, MP10 scaled, is what you guys want.
In gun form, not a tank. I think they are going to do the gun.
Well, why wouldn't they do gun? Because they already did the gun when they came out with that gold version. So they did a gun there. We already know that to fix any type of issue that e-tailers may have, like X-Transbots stated, they were like, hey, they just asked us to put an orange cap on there, and we're going to show you how to take it off in case you don't want it. So,
yeah,
simple fix. So it's going to be the same thing as that. So there's no issue or laws or restrictions as far as that goes. I mean, you can still buy, like, you go on eBay all the time. You buy a G1 Megatron, and it actually comes in gun form, in the packaging. So those ship all around the world all the time. Even if it was an issue, and they would probably come in robot mode. I remember that KO Browning, where they actually didn't put a gun on the box, and they just because it didn't have like an orange cap or anything, and they just had it in robot mode. So unless you knew what you're looking at or knew who Browning was, then you had no idea that it would transform into a gun.
Yeah. And they would do the same thing with Megatron. I mean, Megatron was packaged, the original Masterpiece was packaged in robot mode. And I'm not sure if there was a gun pictured on the box, probably on the back. But it had to be altered by, I think, most of the e-tailers. Takara didn't do anything. So, it was in gun mode. You could see it on the box. But again, I don't think it should be a problem. It's not like it's exhaust, that type of issue and such, where it's, infringing on some type of logo. But who knows?
What else you got, guys? Like I said, we had something planned for you guys. I don't know what happened. Proto, he didn't show up, so we're just kind of winging it at this point. Oh, we were going to talk about Scalpers.
Yeah, we can talk about Scalpers.
Yeah, so those guys.
Happens everywhere, even online. I mean,
yeah.
Like you look at Maddie Collector. I always bring them up, but when they have a certain amount that you're allocated to, a lot of people go in there with multiple accounts and buy up as many as they possibly can.
Because isn't their thing? It even says like you're limited up to 10.
Yeah.
Which that's a crazy limit. And then there's also the early access to where some things they never even go to DSL.
Yep.
So all the Scalpers, they buy them all up to where now that's what they intend to do. And now there's no DSL. So you can't just be like, all right, well, this is going to go live on this day. You get right in there and you're like, he's already sold out, and then you're like, go on eBay and there's 300 of them and they're wanting triple what Maddie wanted.
Yeah. That's unfair.
It's a shame that God, man, I am glad that Mattel does not make Transformers. I would have probably quit this hobby. Seriously, I would have just been like, dude, I'm just into Batman and like Ninja Turtles or something. And I've been like, I'm done with Transformers because that's how bad Mattel is, or Maddie Collector, that you're gonna make limited amounts of stuff, and then you're gonna allow one person to buy 10 of them, and then they can even have multiple accounts as well. And that way there's no nothing there for DSL. So people that wanted to get it, and Mattel's always going to throw it back to, well, if you wanted to guarantee the figure, then you should have bought the subscription to where we send you 15 figures, but you really probably only wanted 3 of them. So you're going to have to like sell the other 12 that you didn't want, for like dirt cheap. It ends up costing them, the consumer too much money, the fan too much. And there's just too much BS to deal with. Plus, you got Digital River that double and triple charges your credit card all the time. And then also sends your stuff to wrong addresses. I've heard so many horror stories.
If you're trying to never always plan to have your credit card expire, on it around a time when you don't care about getting that figure. Because when you try to update your credit card information from the beginning, it's probably different now, but in the beginning it was very difficult because they would cancel your entire subscription and be like, "Oh, you're out." And it's like, I was trying to change something. It was like, and they wouldn't let me, and you had to call, but yet when you call, that person's not doing their job fully, and it was just a mess. But moving on to the Scalpers thing again really quickly. Have you ever encountered one in your little toy hunting?
Not really.
Potential scalper, you thought maybe? I'm kind of keeping an eye on you, buddy.
Yeah, I just can't think of one that kind of stands out to me. I'm sure I have, but the thing is, I usually get there, like I'm always there kind of first. And so if there is something new, and because I go every day, and I get off at 7:30 in the morning, so I go in the morning when the store opens up and everything is fresh and out. And if there's something new, then I grab it then. I don't grab multiples, but I grab stuff for me. Mm-hmm. So I'm usually already out of there before any scalpers come through and tear it up. So
I was just kind of curious. I've seen a couple of scalpers, and that's mainly Toys R Us. That's where I usually see them, and especially around when like the Masterpiece stuff comes out for the first time. Like you get it released at San Diego Comic-Con, and then they finally start to trickle into your local Toys R Us's and stuff like that, and you see them like vultures kind of circling around the items, because I remember they had a limit on some of that stuff, but they were still there to like potentially claim something that they can't claim. But they're on their phones and they're texting people and they're trying to get other people to get there to get these. So I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, because Target, they have a sign up that for some reason they have it in front of their Hot Wheels area, but it's like, collectible items will only be limited to like 1 or something like that. So, I mean, at least I don't know what they consider a collectible item though, because they put it in front of the Hot Wheels and you don't have that sign anywhere near Transformers, Star Wars, or any of the stuff that sometimes they get exclusives for. They don't have that sign anywhere near that. And do you think some 16-year-old cashier at the front is going to look at this is obviously probably a collector's item, you can only get one, sir. I doubt that's going to happen.
Yeah, there's no way to regulate that unless someone decides to report someone. Say, hey, look, that person has like 15 of those things of the same item in their cart. And then probably a manager could say, well, if you saw the sign back there, it says, please limit your, to 1 or 2 or whatever it is. But that's one, no one really does that. No one really approaches anyone anyways in a store. It's just you go do your thing. You kind of look at each other, hey, what's up, and then you just and then you move on. But
the manager, one of the managers at my Target, he was kind of clueless because I brought back forget what it was. It was a speeder bike that had something like a warp leg or something like that, and I needed to exchange it. Whenever you like scanned it, it was like $40. I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm bringing it back. That's why I was making a big deal about it having a warp leg, and you were just kind of like, well, no big deal, What is this? $5? So
$5.
I was like, yeah, that's why if I'm going to pay money for something, then I want it to be in the condition that Hasbro intended it to be in my hands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't have on the back of most of the products. It says color may vary, but it doesn't say condition may vary once opened. So, which would be hilarious if they did. If Hasbro or whoever starts to put that on the back, conditions may vary on product. So, too bad.
It's stamped really big on the Brainstorm box. You might rip your head off. Sorry. Just a look at the draw. One of the things that I wanted to get into with the scalper thing, or not scalpers, but as far what we were talking about with Mattel and how, like, if Mattel made Transformers, then I would quit being a Transformer collector because they put them through too much. Transformer fans complain a lot. Guys, we do. Okay. Like we probably did a little bit on here. Like I said, I'm not really totally in love with that Devastator, but I'm still going to buy it. I'm not really complaining. I do like it, but I'm not in love with it. But that's very light to what some people will say that, they absolutely hate some figures. You got to be so happy that Hasbro runs Transformers and not Mattel or some other company that's kind of looking out for us. Because look at it, we get Combiner Wars, we have Masterpiece, you've got those whatever RID things. I mean, there's so many things out. You can still find movie stuff out there if you're interested in that. There's still some generations out there. They're always trying to not just work on one line, but so many different other lines as well, to where it's a really good time to be a Transformer fan. And plus, you can pick up stuff in retail. You can even pick up their high-end, the Masterpiece, whenever it goes to Hasbro. You can pick that up at retail. To where, let's say, Masters of the Universe, subscription only, and deal with scalpers, and you probably won't even get all the figures that you want. It's just a total pain. There's a lot of other things like that, to where you can only get them through some certain way. To where to be a Transformer fan, it's pretty good. We've got it probably the easiest, wouldn't you say?
Oh yeah, I mean, Transformers is a huge brand. It's their cash cow. It produces movies, other merchandise, cartoons. So it has that, that reasoning to push that line. But, like with Mattel tried to do Masters of the Universe classics, but they didn't do it right. They did the whole team up with, here's He-Man versus Superman, which, okay, it's going off the comic book. But they're priced at like a little expensive, and they were Toys R Us exclusives, and they just didn't sell. I mean, yeah. I can find most of that stuff at my local Hastings, but I'm not going to spend like $60 on it. But with Transformers, it's just constantly reinventing itself, and it's unique, and it's not just like an action figure. It's like a nice like Rubik's Cube. You have to transform it into the other modes if you want to play, and it's really fun. But I wish that Hasbro would dive more into other outside, maybe take that Transformers money and invest it in some of their other projects. Like we've complained, we've talked about G.I. Joe, Mask, all this other stuff that could do something, but hasn't. It'd be kind of cool. But
yeah, Star Wars is going pretty good right now.
Oh yeah. And do you think that the Masterpiece line it's successful? It does great. Takara does a great job, and then Hasbro bringing it over here. But do you think that they should go back to kind of doing a more mass release, not just giving it to Toys R Us, whatever deal that they have? I don't know if they have some special deal that they signed on for, but like Walmart, Target, at least including them into the picture. Would that be something that would be worth it, or the Masterpiece
Like they would
line
all get
right
the
now?
same thing, or would it be like Toys R Us, let's say, gets
No,
this
they get the same thing. No,
so they
it's
all, so you can pick it up wherever you want.
yeah. So if you didn't get it at Toys R Us, you could find it at, let's say, Target, or you could find it at Walmart.
I think Target would be good. Let's say like in my town or city or whatever, there's just the one Target, but there are 4 Walmarts. I think that's the only ones that I'm willing to drive to. So and it's kind of Walmart's kind of that way across the nation, and I don't know if Walmart's in other places, but there's probably another store that's just like a Walmart in a different country. So you just insert whatever you want there. Walmart's the biggest one here, and like I said, in just my city, I have 4 that are just kind of close to me that I'm willing to drive to. Well, if you let Walmart carry it, then what are you just going to send them each a case, like, or just two per box, and each one of them gets it? Because then there's that's several different several of the same figure in my town, and there might not even be that many collectors, and then plus Target and Toys R Us has it. But with Toys R Us, you still kind of keep it small, and you can send them, just maybe where instead of you were sending 10 boxes out to all these different companies, maybe you're sending just 3 boxes and the 6 figures to Toys R Us. You kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just curious if it should go back to mass retail, or it should just keep that exclusivity just for the Masterpiece line, because it is a higher, item, I guess, because not a lot of kids are gonna be like, oh, I want that car, and most parents are gonna be like, no, I'm not gonna spend $80 for that, and you're gonna want other ones to play with it, and it's gonna be kind of odd. But I mean, I know you're right. I mean, we had that opportunity at one time with the original Optimus, and then again with the Seekers being released at Walmart. It just seems Toys R Us, for what it's worth, has nice exclusives. They're nowhere near as what they used to be, like back in the 80s, with just wall-to-wall or even 90s of toys. But it would just be kind of nice if they're going to have it, they should have it in stock and be able to get it.
And the other thing is, if you have a Toys R Us, then you probably have a Target. I would like for Target to carry it as well. So not Walmart, because I think you just completely flood the market, and to where it makes Hasbro look at it like, we made too many of these things and we're not selling them, but we have to make so many to keep up with, all of them to carry it. So if you have Toys R Us already, and then you just add Target, you're going to give more opportunities, but as well as keep Toys R Us honest. And that's something that I think you shouldn't have just one company like, hey, we kind of just, we sell it for what we want to. We're the only ones that carry it, because there's not much difference between the Takara price and the Hasbro, right? It's only like $20.
Yeah.
It's somewhere around there. So to me, it should be, there should be a bigger gap there. Just like whenever you look at the larger figure, and you're looking at, your Acid Storm and Sunstorm, they're $75. Then you look at your MP11 or your Starscream, your Skywarp, and they're $200. There's a huge gap there.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe not as far as percentage wise that much on the smaller ones, but it should be more than $20. Should be able to pick up the figure for, I don't know, when we first heard they were going to come out with them, what did we say? We thought that they would probably be like 35, 40 at the max.
Yeah.
Obviously, That didn't happen. I mean, Hasbro, you're not paying for the engineering here. The figure is smaller than your $44 leader class Megatron. You're not doing any of the work here. You're just putting in just these giant boxes.
Yeah.
Is that where all the money goes to? Is to make those huge boxes that they put these small cars in?
The plastic clamshells probably, and the big boxes. But it would just be nice.
That's $10 as far as supplies goes. The box, that's another $10.
Yeah, it would be nice if we could do something other than Toys R Us. I mean, and we're talking about scalpers, and it just would have been kind of cool because I think that would really alleviate scalpers always. They know when San Diego Comic-Con hits, they know that Toys R Us is going to have a couple of, Transformers Masterpiece figures. And then from that moment on, probably almost till like September-ish, they're going to start trickling in. And so those scalpers are going to be there like dogs, just wanting and getting, and it's just kind of, I don't know. But again, Hasbro's in it to make money, and they don't really, even though they say, oh, we want to cater to the collector. No, they're not really wanting to do that. They just give us your money, however you're going to give us your money, and be done with it.
I saw, I need to post it on the Facebook page, but there was an article written or a blog written by Optimarcus, the guy we saw at Botcon at the bar. He had the custom Star Saber,
Oh, yeah.
So I saw that he posted something. He lives in Australia, but it's like 10 things that he's kind of learned as being a Transformer collector. And it's like, number one, this is all about the kids. So, you see, because the reason why we're Transformer fans now as adults is because we had a great childhood and grew up with these things. And we had these things, whether it was Christmas, birthdays, whatever, however you could get your hands on them, whether you had one figure or you had 100, your childhood was awesome. And you want to play with these toys and watch the cartoons. Well, if he was basically saying that because you're a collector now and you walk into a store and you see that Combiner Wars hotspot, sitting on that shelf, and you're like, man, that's out. I'm ready to get that. And you see a kid that's like, oh, that's hotspot or cool fire truck or whatever, and goes for it. You kind of let the kid have it. Let them enjoy their childhood, because it's like, they can only go to the store. It's not like they have a credit card and they can go, well, I'm just going to go to, TF Source and order me that hotspot. My pre-order comes in, then I'll get it. Thanks a lot, 30-year-old jerk. So, a little 6-year-old's not going to be able to do that. All they have is like their parents' money in a limited amount or whatever, and they buy it right then. And to where we have different ways to go about getting it,
Yeah, I think that's true. And it should be true, but most of the time it's not.
No, it's not.
I've never done that. I've never like, oh man, that kid just took the last whatever. I'm like, that's cool. Awesome.
I told a kid one time because he had picked something up and it was what I wanted. So I just stood right next to him. I was like, are you getting that? And he was like, well, just looking at it. I was like, I mean, if you're going to get it, I mean, get it. But if you put it back on the tag, I'm going to get it. It's like, no, I don't have any money. I was like, all right.
Hand it over. Put it in my card. No. And I don't want to sound like we're like toy hunter bullies.
The bullies in like Toys R Us. Like when Dakota made that joke about me when I was like, yeah, I can't wait to find a scoop. I was like, yeah, he's going to see some kid like trying to grab it. And he's going to like knock him to the floor and into the aisle, grab that scoop. No, I would never do anything like that. But finish what you were going to say.
Oh, no. I mean, I don't usually see that type of, instance. And if I ever saw a kid or, even my kid that wants an item and it's like, there's only one there. I'm like, no, dude, it's all yours. Or I will recommend like, oh, dude, you're picking up a really awesome figure. You like Transformers? Cool. Luckily I have a kid next to me, so I'm not that creepy old guy or something that's talking to some kid.
6-year-old about toys.
But
I'm sorry, so do you work here? No.
But it's, the one time that I I can't stand, and this is kind of going off on a tangent, is when you get those collectors. I don't know if they're scalpers, whatever, but they hover. They're right in front of what they want, and they won't let anyone buy, especially kids. That's what really irritates me. And I'll usually, if my kid's there and he wants to see something, and they're like right there because they're kind of hoarding it, but they don't want to like commit to taking it off the peg or something. And so I always have to tell them, could you move down a little bit? If you're gonna buy that, cool. But my kid here wants to look at that, and then they usually are like, oh yeah, okay. But then they're like, oh, I should have picked that. I missed my opportunity. It's like, but if a kid wants it, that's cool. If it, most of the time though, I think, like with my kids, it's just my experience. Transformers was introduced through me to my kids because they have no clue about it. Yes, my son's now watching RID, so he has a little bit of it and the movies, but as far as like G1, like Hotspot, he'll have no clue about who that is, or any of these Combiner Wars figures, unless I've shown him some of the episodes.
Well, yeah,
and I'll tell him about it. No, I know, and I get what you're saying, but it's like, but definitely, if it should be a kind of like one of those unwritten rules. You have someone who's an adult to a child, that the child comes first. Like, it's all you, Ben. I mean, it doesn't have to be Transformers. It could be like, I know a lot of kids love WWE figures, those elite figures, because they're like, oh man, there's a new Hulk Hogan there, or there's John Cena. I want that. It's like, it's all yours, man.
I knew I wanted to come to the comments. I was like, let me see what these people are saying. Tumala saying that like I would fight kids to the death for toys and stuff like that.
Right on.
There
can
was
imagine James and Josh bullying up the kid who took the last toy and fighting to the death and just following him outside.
DC Toy Box Studio says, question, do you think there will be a masterpiece scale combiners?
Yeah.
Eventually. The way I kind of look at it is the masterpiece is all about being accurate and getting license. So it's supposed to be 100% legit. So if we're going to make a Lamborghini product, then it needs to have the Lamborghini license and be approved. So with a lot of the combiners, you're not going to have to do that with like the aerial bots, the Constructicons, the Stunticons. You already got half the license. So
yeah, we'll see combiners.
And the Beast, Predaking, Terracons, stuff like that. Computron, he's his own design. So I mean, yeah.
But I will admit, I love the Masterpiece line, but I will admit that I don't have a lot of faith in it. As far as we're gonna, like, as being a G1 fan, we're gonna get all the G1s in the Masterpiece scale. I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't really think that we're gonna get every single G1 figure in Masterpiece scale. I just don't. I don't think we're gonna see like a Metroplex, because then there's gonna be a lot of issues. And like we just voiced, Transformer fans are very vocal, so we're gonna want it in ways that probably isn't feasible. And I also think that the Masterpiece line here pretty soon is going to get relaunched. We see Takara do it a lot with the reissues, Encore, Platinum, and I think that they're going to relaunch it.
They did
5
it
years
with
down the road.
Hasbro Masterpiece. They were coming in the like weird kind of box that it's hard to fit it, stack stuff on it, like with the Rodimus and the Grimlock and Thundercracker. And then they started coming out with like these giant boxes, regardless whether it's a Seeker with his wings spread out and stuff like that, or it's a little bitty car that's transformed into his car. You're going to get the same giant box. And then they started labeling those like MP, 1, MP2, and stuff like that, which gets really confusing whenever you go on eBay. You're like, yes, I'm looking for, whatever, MP05, and like something else pulls up, and you're like, oh crap,
Yeah, especially Grimlock, the Hasbro version having its own MP, and then it's actually MP08 from Takara. So you're like, besides having like 5 or 7 versions of that thing, but We have any other questions out there? Not seeing any.
No, you guys want it to be over now?
So we just get a flood of yes. No.
They don't even answer. They just drop out. Thoughts on Combiner Wars Devastator, Tracy Butler. Kind of talked about it a little bit earlier in the show. It was one of the first things that we brought up. And like I said, the thing is, we don't ever want to hate on anything because I don't think there's any reason to, because as Transformer fans, we're the luckiest fans there are because we just kind of get all kinds of stuff and we get to be picky because we get so much stuff. And with the Devastator, I don't love it, but I'm still going to buy it. One, because I want to support them doing larger figures so that they want to continue and do it again. And because I talked with Hasbro, head like people at Hasbro that are over Transformers, Mark Weber, and he's directly told me that, we're in the business to make money, and if something sells really well, we take note of that, and then we try to push more of that out. So with Brainstorm, he told me if it sells really well, then it's a really good possibility that you're going to see some other Voyager, headmasters. Obviously, it did not sell well because they made mistakes in the factory. With the Devastator, if it sells really well, maybe they'll make some more of them. So that's kind of the way that I think, and that's one of the reasons why I'm going to support it. I think once I get it in my hand, I may love it, but as of right now, just looking at it, I don't think I've seen the thing transform correctly once. So there's still, judgment to be passed there. But the individual robots, I like them because they look very accurate to their cartoon. So in worst case scenario, I've got some very accurate, to the cartoon, the G1 cartoon Constructicons.
Yeah. Another question, Steve Cass. How long till the next fan vote masterpiece figure? That's Takara, and I don't even know if they're gonna touch that.
They would have done it by now. Like even if they came out with it now, it'd still be like a year and a half before it would be released, if not longer.
And he states it's obvious we would all vote for Victory Leo, which most likely. It would be hilarious though if we did have that fan vote and what was the second place winner? Armada Prime won. So I feel like
Jinrai was like 2 or 3. That's what I want. I want Jinrai.
Jinrai would be nice. But yeah, I don't know if they're going to do the fan. I think it was successful, but I don't know why. I think that should be related to. I wish Botcon would incorporate that. Like, oh, we're going to do a voting masterpiece, something. They could. No influence though, because they have nothing to do with Takara. But oh well. Any other questions out there? Should make another Titan. It's probably going to be Triptychon. Yeah, I doubt it. Because we want that, and Hasbro probably knows we want that, but they'll be like, we'll do Omega Supreme.
I still think that the Predaking and Skylinks would have been a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
And you remember when we looked at, what was it, like a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, when we looked at that book that they were coming out for like 30th anniversary thing, and they showed Predaking, but they also came out with a reissue around that time, I think. But they had shown a like stylized version of Skylinks as well. And that was something that I was pretty excited for, because we started looking in that book because like they had like a stylized version of Springer, and then here's a Springer. I forget what all was in there, but it was like if there was 15 characters, 12 of those characters ended up coming out that year or have been released. RC I think was in there on these 2 pages. So I saw that Skylinks and I was like, oh, sweet, we're getting a Skylinks. It hasn't
Would
happened.
be nice.
Oh,
Going back
and Defense World was on there too. So
going back to the Devastator, I would totally want to get a Prowl version of. Somehow get a Prowl that would be able to combine with that. That would be nice. It'd probably be more third party, but so.
Daniel,
Yo.
what happened to you, man?
Oh, I got so held up. I was at the gym, and then I was like, oh, shit. Did he say Central Time? Did he say Eastern Time?
All right, I'm going to put these in the chat. We can run through this really quick. There we go.
Okay.
So, guys, this is Daniel, also on the internet known as Protoman, and he works closely with Botcon. I don't know the
TFcon.
details of, or TFcon. I'm sorry. Again, now I've been up for 25 and a half hours. So, this is mainly some questions that Jaim came up with. So, Jaim, you want to kind of fire away? I think I contributed the last only two. At the bottom.
Okay.
Let's rock.
Can you give us some background on TFcon? I mean, like why it originated, where it's located, just some factoids, I guess, for
Sure,
any.
no problem. Back in 2002, well, actually, we'll go even before that. Botcon in general, as we all know, has been a American-only convention. Around, I would have to say, when Botcon was first created in 95, 96, 97, was the Clinton administration, which was the American dollar when it was kicking ass at its best. The Canadian dollar was beautifully known as the 50-cent American dollar because it was that bad. It was, man, let me tell you something. It was brutal. So even if you wanted to do a Botcon and you were Canadian, forget about it. Why would you cross the border when your dollar is worth nothing? Clinton got out of office, and good old Bush, he sure flipped things around. Anyways, point being, around 2002, we were just kind of like, you know what? We should really just do our own convention. Botcon is never going to come here. It's been asked many times to Glenn Hallett and the guys who used to run Botcon before, would you ever do a Botcon in Canada? And they said the logistics, everything of it would be impossible. So we decided we'd do our own. And in 2002, in a hockey arena, how Canadian can it get, they rented the back of a hockey arena, and they ran their first ever TFcon. I was not present for that very first one. And it literally was... for people know him as Aaron Black, the guy who runs Repro Labels. It was him and Colin together that actually ran the very first TFcon. That's a lot of people don't know that. Aaron Black, the founder of Repro Labels, was instrumental in the creation of TFcon. And it was just him going like, well, I really need to do a mortgage on my house, and I'd like to really sell some toys. And in Toronto, there's tons of conventions, and it was really expensive to get tables, especially during that like superhero hype of X-Men movies and stuff of the early 2000s. So he was like, let's just rent our own show, put out some flyers, and see what happens. And so because it was primarily Transformers, the first ever Transformers Con, as it was called, happened. And 200 people showed up, which was like, whoa, you know, just no experience, nothing, and it all just happened. So 200 people. Then the next show, they actually went to a hotel, and this was one that was near an airport at the time, and then more people showed up, and then it really started to snowball. In 2006, when they announced the Bay movie was being made, they moved it to the Delta, which was in Toronto. Like, the Delta Hotel at the time was across from one of the biggest anime conventions in North America, Anime North, which is like, they get like 20,000 people a year. It's huge, that convention. So we did it across the street from where Anime North was done. The hype of the Bay movies, the hype of everything, 2,000 people. And then in 2007, 4,000 people. And then in 2000, it just grew and grew and grew to the point that we actually outgrew our location. And some of the people here in the podcast today who visited TFcon recently, we moved to that location only because we just could not fit in the one that we had, because we were hitting, you know, that 10,000 people mark over a span of 3 days. So we needed something that was bigger, and that's why we're at the location that we're at today, which we've only been at for, I think, only 4 years now. 5 years, actually. It's 5 years. As of this year, it'll be 5 years now. But we've only been there for 5 years, where the other location we were there for a good solid, like, 7. So that's how it more or less originated to that point, being a Canadian Botcon. But it's funny how that works today now, where now we're even an American show.
Yeah. Kind of leading into the next question, was there ever talk, I mean, Botcon moves around, to have TFcon outside of Toronto, maybe Vancouver, maybe, or somewhere else in Canada?
When I came on staff, I was brought on to staff for multiple reasons, because I run a lot of conventions in Montreal. I had a lot of expertise in that. Also, hey, the Transformer knowledge sure doesn't help either. So, I mean, it helps a lot. So, I was brought in for multiple reasons, but one of the things that they asked me at one point was, like, should we do a show in Montreal ever? Like, they actually considered it, and I told them no. I told them, Toronto, what people need to realize that aren't Canadians is that if you took the entire population of Canada, and I mean west coast to east, it could all fit in like a quarter of Southern California. Like, there's not a lot of population here. Like, it's a big country. We're a big country, biggest country in the world if you don't count the USSR, but it's all on the border. I mean, the rest of it is a winter wonderland that you would not want to live in outside of igloos and polar bears. So there's not a lot of dense population. So outside of Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, and you wouldn't even want to go to like Calgary, that's too north. There's not many places in Canada that you would want to do it. You want to be near the border, so that way the Americans could cross over easily, and dealers. So Montreal, Vancouver, and Toronto are the only ones that even be considered. But in Montreal, you have a language issue because the French is very predominant there. Vancouver is very west coast and very far away, so there is that issue of could all of staff get there. Although now we're starting getting used to traveling because of our other adventures that we've started to have now, which I guess we'll get into after. But in the past, it was something we never thought about because, it would be Canada only, and when Canada, it's just there's not many places you'd want to do it. There's tons of cities, but most of them aren't really worth seeing. I mean, the United States, when you look at Botcon, they don't exactly go to like little hick towns. They don't go to like Boringville, Indiana or something. They go to somewhere that's at least a state capital or something that's of a large dense population. I mean, they're not stupid either. Like when they do a Chicago this year, it's because Chicago is an extremely busy city. It's a hub for airports and everything. So they know like where they're going. Same thing when they do Pasadena or San Diego or New York, or they've done Florida in the past. They've done even Fort Wayne,
Dallas.
Indiana. The only reason why they ever did Fort Wayne, Indiana was because the guys who founded Botcon used to live there, where that's the only time they've ever really done a small town, is just because, hey, I live in that small town, why not just do it there? And they visited there, I think there's 4 Botcons were there, but all in the pre-Fun Pub days. Now that it's more, I'll use air quotes professional, but now that it's more professional, they kind of focus more on big cities, stuff that's a guaranteed population thing. It's the same thing with TFcon. I mean, doing it in Charlotte there's many reasons for that, but one of them being also dense population. Same thing with the main reason why we took Chicago. Yeah.
You kind of went into it, but what do you do regarding your job for TFcon?
Originally, when I was first brought on, it was a matter of me knowing budget, because running conventions is a science in terms of how to budget things, how to not bankrupt yourself, and many conventions have bankrupt themselves. Budget was one thing. Number two, because of my crazy knowledge, if ever they needed panels, I could run tons of them. And I think the first year I ran 3 panels, and I think Vangelis recorded all of those. Those are actually online to watch, and they were very thick. I brought a lot of stuff. I bring rare stuff to panels and prototypes and video feeds. So I was really. But then as time progressed, they're like, hey, we want to do a comic. We want you to do the comic. We want you to do the tech specs for all the exclusives, like all the bios, all the comics that's done by me. Not artistically, that's done by some very talented people. But writer-wise, I do all of that. I do all the bios and everything. any kind of judging stuff, I'm usually I partake in that too. There's it's like I help with the charity. I'm just thrown around wherever. I mean, because the reality is with conventions is it's a lot of organizing, which that's a team effort. I don't want to take the claim for, oh, well, I decide how the schedule is. That's a team effort thing. But stuff that's individually me, it's more or less what I just mentioned, but a little bit of everything elsewhere. I mean, when we decide the exclusives, it's not like Colin might be the one who makes the final decision, but we all kind of have our own little input. Like, I think the GoBots year was one that I was really pushing because that was the 30th anniversary of GoBots in '83. And so it would be the 30th anniversary of GoBots in 2013. I thought it would be really fun to do GoBots, and the artists that were working on the comic wanted to really, imagine GoBots had no fiction for almost like 29 years. The artists were like, wow, it'd be really fun. And I mean, I don't want to have to say who the artists are, but people know more or less who it is. It's like a don't ask, don't tell kind of thing. But those artists really wanted to do some GoBot artwork, like some really professionally done Warbatron artwork. So it's all those kind of things. We all help out in different areas, but the primary ones is more right now. It's more writing, panels, and judging, and the charity auction. Right now, that's more or less it.
Okay, cool. This is kind of just kind of want to know what makes TFcon so great. What would be that one thing that you want to go to TFcon above the others?
I always tell people I always feel that TFcon had a lot in common with the pre-fun publication Botcon years. I've been going to Botcon for 16 years straight. It's 15 years straight. Yeah, it's 15 years now. And I was there during those pre-fun pub days. And those pre-fun pub days were more smaller. They were more independently run. There was less, there's just less red tape and stuff like that. And they were just more fun. And I found that there was just, what's the word I'm looking for? There was just a more closed community thing, like small town feeling almost. And that's not to say TFcon's a small convention, but I think that because it was founded on the same staff, more or less, that were used to those small years, that when it got big, you still kind of know the same people, the same dealers. And when new people come, even though it's gotten big now, there's still, everyone knows. Like at Botcon, you might know Pete Sinclair, you might know Brian Savage, whether you like it or not, but you don't really know anyone else in terms of the guys who run it. That fluctuates back and forth heavily. You might know some of the volunteers that are regulars, but with TFcon, it's the same people since 2002, more or less, and so there's a lot of respect. There's a lot of fun that goes. I think what makes it work too is because it has that open, relaxing environment. You get crazy stuff at the bar. I'll never forget. Like again, the Gary Chalk year is probably the one that always stuck out, where Gary Chalk came down with a guitar and he started doing a little concert for everybody, and that was totally not planned. Where I joke that if Botcon did something like that, I can imagine Brian Savage running down, pulling the guitar out of Gary's hand, going, "No one paid for this," But it's just that was just. There's so many things. I find that for Americans, it's worth it because the dollar is so strong that you go into a dealer room where you really have an advantage, and we don't change prices to match American dollars. I don't think any dealer actually kind of thinks about that, because a good amount of the people who still come to TFcon are Canadian. So if you're used to seeing a Transformer that's $20 in the States, and then you go to TFcon, you see it $20 Canadian. Hey man, right now the dollar's really good for Americans, so you're saving quite a bit on purchases too. Not to mention we also have exclusives. So I mean, if you're a guy that's big on third party, especially now that recently Botcon kind of was outspoken about third party again recently, saying how they don't want none of that in their business. So once again, I mean, they were kind of flip-flopping back and forth. I mean, the year before that, they didn't really care, and now they care again. So it's going to look like, once again, your third-party venture is going to be at TFcon. So there's only going to be exclusives at TFcon, where Botcon in the past, when they were kind of like, oh yeah, okay, we don't care about third party now, there would be third party exclusives from a TF source table, or there'd be a parts party that would have like, oh, here's this, exclusive gun or something. So and I'm going to be at Botcon this year, so it's going to be interesting to once again see how they're going to handle that, and in contrast, look, if that doesn't work for you, TFcon is the venture to go to for that, or Charlotte. The TFcon Charlotte in the States later that year. That's another venture to go to if you want to get your third-party fix, which is important to a large part of the fandom.
Yeah. If you can you how do you go about picking exclusives for the show? I mean, how much time goes into creating the exclusive?
Oh, it's practically one of the first things that's decided because of how long it takes. First, we usually we have certain companies that we have because we have the third-party panel, there's just certain companies that we have a really good lingo with. We just, we have really good communication with them. And every year, we always kind of go, all right, what do you got? What do you got that we could do a 500 run of that's affordable, and different companies submit different things. That's why we've never really stuck with one company, because so many times, like a Head Robots will come forward and go, we have 500 of these, we could sell them to you at so-and-so a piece, and tell us a color scheme. And so when we're usually presented with a mold, I'll give you a good example. In the past, when we had the iGear, at the time iGear only had the Brawn mold and the Cosmos mold. Those were the only two molds that were available of their iGear mini-bot line. We didn't have any of the others available to us at that point. And they were like, here's what we have, here's how much it's going to cost per unit, come up with a color scheme. And then that's presented to the staff, where then we go, okay, let's spitball. Let's see what we could get from this. And I mean, I actually have folders in my computer somewhere, I wish I could dig them up somewhere, where we have like all kinds of wacky ideas we would think of. Like at one point, we were looking at, like, what do you do with the Cosmos mold? There's only so much you could do. And we're like, well, here's it in Omega Supreme colors, just for fun. Here's it, because one of our staff members is Dak, also known as Duncan, who's a customizer in the Transformers community, and he actually he won Botcon in 2008 for the customization, like 3D art, whatever you want to call it, and he's a really very good customizer, and so he usually is responsible for a lot of the digibashes that we do when we have ideas of certain stuff. So we go, oh, do Omega Supreme color, see how that turns out. And we kind of like fell on GoBots mainly because of Cosmos, because we looked at Cosmos and we're like, well, right away the easy one is let's do Pathfinder from GoBots. But then we're like, well, then what do you do with that Brawn one to complete the set, if you will? And we were looking at GoBots that turn into that specific vehicle and stuff that has a similar shape. And then Vanguard, who is I would call him a second-tier GoBot character, he came up and it was just like, yeah, let's go with that. And it's the same thing with, we had the Masterpiece Shafter, where it's just like that company just came to us and said, we could offer you this at this. What do you want to do with it? And you look at that mold and it's almost like, well, there's not much you could do with it, so here's this, here's that. That's how we end up sometimes with original characters like Toxin or Axis, where we're like, oh, well, we already have a really good established character, now let's have fun and make something original. And something that's a Decepticon, which is always something that's usually lacking. Some that we didn't have any say in at all, like we had the Mushroom Kingdom 2-pack, which was the Mario and Luigi animated one. That one we didn't have a say in. That was actually something that was originally a Auto Assembly exclusive, but Auto Assembly doesn't have 500 people that come to their convention. So if they had 500 units, that would be under the assumption if every single person who walked through the door bought an exclusive. So to play it safe for them and to be able to have an exclusive, they split it with us. So they would have 250 for their show, and we'd have 250, and the rest is, And that's honestly one of my favorite TFcon exclusives, is the Mario and Luigi 2-pack, and I had nothing to do with that. So
now that you have two shows going with that exclusive, do you split or have a higher count, or you go,
well,
TFcon gets it first, and then whatever you have left over goes to the American show?
Well, in the recent years, since I believe 2011, we always started to have now 2 exclusives, sometimes 3. So now we kind of have this forethought that now that we always have 2 exclusives, since now we have 2 shows, we'll debut usually the favorable one at, we'll call it TFcon Prime, the Canadian one, and then we'll debut the second one at the Charlotte show and give people an opportunity at the second show to get that favored one in Toronto. So it kind of works out for both people. I find that the Torontonians will get the better one of the two that we feel, and then the Americans will get the other one, and we'll get a chance also to get that other one too. So it kind of it creates surprise. I mean, it kind of makes it sound like the Americans get the better deal because they get both, but in the end, we're still a Canadian show, and we still have to have kind of that loyalty to the Canadian fans and stuff. So we do debut the more favorable one there, but they do get something that's exclusive only to Charlotte there also. I mean, who knows what for this year? You know what I mean? There's so many. It also, there's also now we have this thing where we have the at-show exclusives, where the dealers, they bring their own, here's an exclusive to the show. And to give an example, TFcon Canada had Columpio, which was the Dinobot third-party one. But then that same group of guys came to TFcon Chicago, USA, that literally 3 months later, and debuted Scoria. So
Kubar was good.
Two separate exclusives in the same year from people within the deal room, and it was the same thing. I believe it was Insane Galvatron was another one. He did exclusive Target Masters just for the Charlotte show. There was Grant, which was another one, the Fortress Maximus repaint of Grand Maximus. That was from the TF source table, where at TFCon Canada we had the G2 breakdown.
Ages 3 up, they do that.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, so it's there's always exclusives all over the place, and I don't want to guarantee anything, but I mean, if you use your head, it's pretty obvious there's going to probably be more of that again this year, for sure.
I hope so.
Especially with third party being a bigger focus because it's not allowed at Botcon, I think that for sure there's definitely going to be something there.
That was one of the questions that I was asking: is do y'all collaborate with them at all, or have?
No, in fact, I've actually told them in the past, let me know in advance if you're doing something, because I'd gladly put you in the comic. I'd gladly, even in the background. If I would have known Scoria or Columpio or any of those were going to be there, I would have gladly had them in the background fighting along, and it adds, because people buy something and then they could say, oh, and he was in the comic too. It adds to the enjoyment of your purchase. And I've told them, without even blinking, I would love to do that. But the thing is, it's communication. Sometimes guys don't know. Sometimes they intend it to be an Asian exclusive and it doesn't work out in time, so they bring it to us. Sometimes they don't know. So. Yeah, but it's something I wish we actually had more collaboration with. It'd be great. It'd be great to work with them sometimes, to work with Fans Project again. But in some cases, it's not that we have a say. It's because they kind of already have an idea of what they want to do. I mean, especially when it comes to those Dinobots, it's kind of obvious what they want to do with them every time. So it's more just a matter of we don't even know until the day of the show, literally. When they're showing up with their big cases of something, and you're just like, oh, what's in there?
I so want that Diaclone Bolar. They're not smooth. Hopefully he'll be debuted.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to promise nothing, because in all honesty, I don't know any more than you do. But I mean, if past history has showed us anything, let's just say, yeah.
Let me see.
Next question.
The last one.
Let me do this one question and then go right to the last. I'm curious because I live on the West Coast. Will there ever the TFCon American show come west?
Well, you know what? I used to say no, but now the fact that we're getting used to, because Charlotte's not close. When we did Chicago, that's because it was drivable from the Canadian border. This one's a flight, so this one is going to really be an indication of the travel to conventions for staff. So that'll be a reflection, and then we learn from there. I mean, if it's really successful, who knows? Who knows? I don't want to say no at this point, but it's if it's really successful, who knows? I mean, it's always a matter of money in the end. If we could pull this off financially,
Yeah.
If it'll reap back the investment of flights and all of this stuff and paperwork and everything. So we'll see.
Seattle. That's all I want. I want Seattle.
I've had a lot of people that, trust me, after the Chicago show, everyone coming up to me going, "Are you going to do here? Are you going to do there?" It's like, oh, everyone wants it in their backyard.
You need to, because you're always there, in Canada where it's cold. You need to come where it's like warm, like.
Oh, that's what Botcon's for. Whenever they do their millions of West Coast shows.
You gotta come where it's raining and you got coffee. That's Seattle. You need to go here.
James, you want to get the very last one there?
You can take the last one, man. It's your question, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought it'd be funnier if you read it though. But can you show us any maybe sneak peeks? It's just between us. We're not even live, I promise.
No, I can't, unfortunately. And the thing is, in all honesty, even though we're pretty close to the show, a lot of the finalized stuff is actually not even done yet. Usually the comic is, and I'll be honest, I'll straight up say it, the comic usually isn't done until 3 weeks before the show. The exclusives, we usually don't get them in hand until 3 weeks before the show. A lot of that stuff, because even when we get the exclusives, we have to check them. We have to make sure because these are third party. We have to make sure there's no QC issues. We have to make sure there's no, oh my God, all the fists are missing or something. Like, we go through a bunch of stuff beforehand. And if you actually look previous years, a lot of times we don't reveal stuff until usually a month before the show, and there's still more than a month until TFcon. So I think almost 2 months, a month and a half about. So I think there's another question here. Do you worry about competition?
Oh, if you want to answer, I'm in.
Oh, well, let's put it this way. I love Botcon. I'll say that straight up right now. Like, I'm Mr. Number 2 at TFcon, but I will straight up say I love Botcon. It's a different experience. Botcon is the glitz, the glamour, the official emblem stamp on it, but you pay for it. You pay for it big time. Anyone who's like, as a Canadian, oh my God, you really pay for it. This year, it would probably be one of the more expensive Botcon years ever because of the Canadian dollar. And it's just, like in general, if it's a West Coast show, flight is going to be $400. Hotel room, even if you split it with 4 guys, is going to be about $200. Primus package is another $400. Food for that weekend, I mean, that's probably the cheapest thing, at least compared to what we're used to. Food is at least a little cheaper. But usually before you hit the dealer room, you're almost $1,000 in the hole. Where TFcon, $75 for the weekend admission, and I mean, if your flight, because we're on the border, just get to Buffalo and take a taxi even over the border. Sometimes people fly in directly. I know a lot of our guests, they kind of go to Buffalo and they just drive in because state to state is usually cheaper. But I think the most expensive person who ever came here was James Roberts. He flew from the UK, from Gurney, which is a small little island, and I believe it only cost him $600, which is $100 more than it costs me to go to Cali. So just to give you an idea, like it's a lot cheaper for Americans and Canadians to do TFcon, so a lot of people favor that more. But at the same time, I love Botcon. Do I see competition from them? I used to say no. I used to feel that we were two different things. Chicago really made me scratch my chin when that kind of thing happened. When at our Chicago show, Pete Sinclair showed up with flyers, and I mean, I don't want to say that it was on purpose, but it was very interesting that that happened. It's kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
Some people speculate, even me a little bit. I kind of wonder, like, was it done to prevent us from doing this in the future? I don't really think so, but I mean, at the same time, it is quite a coincidence, everything. But I don't really see them as competition as long as they keep shooting themselves in the foot with the third party thing. Because as long as they don't have the third party thing, we're always going to have something that they can never compete with us with. They'll never do a third-party panel. They'll never do third-party reveals, like big third-party reveals. They'll never have glass cases with prototypes and resin prototypes and all this stuff of future third-party products. Like they're never going to go that route. So, and as long as third party really still keeps being this dominating monetary force in our hobby, and I mean, geez, the amount of money that people spend on third party stuff that are equal to that of Masterpiece toys and some people's holy grails, all these combiners and everything that cost between upwards of $300 and $500, which when you think about it, that's some of the most expensive Japanese Transformers that exist on the planet. I mean, people decide to put their money into that, so it shows that people have that kind of dedication to it. And actually, recently, we did the TFcon crew also do other conventions. We recently did a action figure expo 2 weeks ago, and at that show there were some photos online. We had the in-person final product of the third-party Krang from the Ninja Turtle line.
Nice.
So, and again, so they sent us that too. So now we're getting into also conversations with third-party guys that are doing not just Transformer stuff, and kind of being able to be the venue for that to show that off too. So there's competition a little bit, but really in the end, the people who go to Botcon go to it for a very specific reason. The same reason why I go to Botcon, even though I have TFcon. I go to it for a very specific reason. There's just something that's a little different that's at one that isn't at the other, and it's the same thing vice versa. Botcon has the exclusives. Botcon has those Hasbro product preview panels. It has the Hasbro representatives. It'll have it'll have the IDW comic guys as a whole, as in the whole company will have their own table. There's more of an officialness to them, but then they're lost in other areas in terms of a cheaper dealer room, more interesting dealer stuff, and that huge third-party thing that lingers over everything. That's the biggest factor that we have that really works in our favor. So yeah.
All right, man. Well, I wanted to thank you for coming on. You
No
did
problem.
it towards the end of the show instead of the beginning.
Sorry.
Of the show, so it all worked out.
Yeah.
Where can people go to find out? Like, what's the website for TFcon to find out more information?
It's pretty simple for the Canadian show, which is happening in July. Let me just pull up my little post-it here, because sometimes July 17th and 19th is going to be our Canadian show, 2015. For more information on that, go to tfcon.ca. For the Charlotte show that's coming up later that year, which is, why don't I have that written down? Oh well, I think it's in October. You just go to tfcon.com, C-O-M, and that'll be for the American show, and it'll have all the information for that one. Registration for dealers are both up for both of them, so if you're a dealer and you want to do registration, those are both up now. For tfcon.ca, currently the registration is up for attendees. After July, then we'll start focusing on the USA show, so registration stuff will be up for that afterwards. I mean, after July, there's a good 2-month span, and it's not something you really have to worry too much about. Like, oh my God, I don't want to miss registration. It's always up. We never sell out of something. And for anyone that's ever been in our registration line, there's never long waits or anything either. So it won't be an issue. But right now, all the information is up for the Canadian show, hotel blocks, everything. So if you're going to the Canadian show, check that out, tfcon.ca. For the American show, not everything's up right now because it's still a couple of months away, like 4 or 5. So wait until after TFcon Canada to finish, and then keep an eye out on tfcon.com. Information's always, the latest news is always posted on tfw2005.com. You can follow the TFcon Twitter, which is TFcon Toronto that has all the information for all of the shows, not just TFcon, but any show that's done in our umbrella of conventions that we do. And yeah, that's more or less it I could say, really.
All right, man. Well, thanks a lot for coming on. Jaim, you want to go ahead and outro us, buddy?
Yeah, I'm Jaim Victory Saber 770. Find me on Twitter, YouTube. We do have another show, the Aftercast, which will be airing here in the next hour on my YouTube channel. So check that out. And we have the collecting spotlight again. So if you want your collection spotlight on the Cybercast, send your pictures to Josh at g1hextron@gmail.com, and we will spotlight you on the next Cybercast. And episode 107, we hope to have Pete Sinclair on. He'll be talking about Botcon.
Pete's a
And
good guy. And Pete's a good guy. Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I like Pete a lot. Like that's another reason why I feel there's no competition between us, because Pete, he knows me, I know him. Really stand up dude. Really awesome.
and that's about it.
Yeah.
Pretty much it. All right. Protoman, you want to tell them where they can find you on like Twitter? I know you got a Twitter, the YouTube. You want to tell them where they can find you there?
Actually, recently, I've been fighting for 6 years to get at Protoman. Yeah, I finally got rid of the X. Oh man, 6 years it took, fighting with Twitter, fighting with everything, to finally get that X removed and get the official at Protoman Twitter account. So it's at Protoman if you want to check that out. I have a YouTube channel, Proto Retro, if you want to check that out. I do video game stuff too. That's about it, really. Not much else to advertise. Just check out TFcon. It's coming up soon. Awesome show.
All right, and you can find me, G1Xtron, on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and my Facebook page is the G1Xtron. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
See ya.